I have the pleasure to introduce our well-serving for the past several years, I don't think it's been 7, president of the International Union for Land Value Taxation. And this is Fernando Scornik Gerstein. I'm just going to read his bio. So know that in your packet we have the bios of our speakers. In the 2-pager, you're going to find the most current program, and that's where you're going to find the names of the moderators. So if you're a moderator and you're not sure when you're moderating, you better check that paper. So Fernando was born, this is very high, oh, that's better, in Argentina, where he graduated as a lawyer in 1963, specializing in agrarian and taxation law. He was legal advisor to the Argentinian agrarian cooperatives for 10 years. Later, he was appointed advisor on land taxation to the Minister of Economy and subsequently to the Secretary of State of Agriculture, for whom he wrote a report, The Basis for a Tax System on the Rent of Land, published in 1973. And then he chaired the Special Commission on the Taxation of Land's Potential Rent, set up by the Secretary of State for Agriculture. He left Argentina for Spain in 1976, where he pursued his legal career. Fernando is the president of APERS, which is Asociación Española para el Estudio del Régimen del Suelo y los Recursos Naturales. How did I do with my Spanish? I don't know. He served as our president, which I said, for the International Union for Land Value Taxation. In addition to other books, he is co-author with Fred Fulveri of The Marginalists, which is available here at the bookstore outside the room here. The Marginalists and the Special Status of Land as a Factor of Production. And his topic for us right now is the Spanish crisis, the consequences of land speculation.
Well, it's very nice to see you all again. I don't know everyone, but I know many of the people here. And it's always nice in each conference to see old friends getting younger in each conference. Now I see them with strength to continue fighting. I've been president of the International Union for 7 years, really, Alana. 7 years, a very long time. I don't know if there's ever been another president that lasted 7 years. But I certainly had very difficult tasks. It was, the International Union passed through very difficult moments. We had in the executive committee conflictive people. I won't make any names, but conflictive people create conflicts. And then we had to solve many problems within the executive committee. But I had a clear idea always of what the International Union should be. And the International Union should be a home for all the Georges, whatever the political idea they had or the political parties in which they work. And that, to take that into effect, it was not very easy. There was opposition in the executive committee to admit people that were in the Labour Party or in the Liberal Democratic Party. There were opposition, but it was overpassed with difficulties. Now we have in the executive committee people belonging to all the political spectrum in the United Kingdom and of course in the world, and people that have no political party, they are completely independent. We have everything. I will say some, before entering into the Spanish situation, which is a remarkable example of where a country can be led by land speculation, I want to make an observation that I was thinking in these days. I was thinking, why is that the books of Henry George have such an effect on people? Not to everyone, but to many people the lecture of the books of Henry George made an incredible impact, incredible. I remember when I read for the first time Protection and Free Trade, or Free Trade, it changed my life. I thought I had been an idiot 35 years before. I didn't realize all the things. And why? Why, for example, the books of Henry George made such an impact in Tolstoy? Why they make such an impact in Dewey? Why? What are in the books of Henry George? Not everyone. Sometimes I gave the books of Henry George to people and they say, well, it's another writer. But to some people, they make an incredible impact. And then, when I was reading, I always read philosophy. I was reading the philosophy of Immanuel Kant. And Kant, the great German philosopher, divides the world in two things. What he calls the phenomenon world, which is the world of every day, what we see, the people, the things we see, that are what he calls the phenomenon world. And it's a world which is formed by our minds, which is formed by our intuition of time and space. And for other qualities like color, that size, everything is put by ourselves. That is the phenomenon world. And Kant says there is another world that we never see, which is what he calls the pneumenic world, which is the reality that is behind the things and that we are incapable to know or to reach, except in one aspect. And he says there is one aspect in which we can reach the pneumenic world, and that is the moral law. He says in the moral experience, man has a contact with the pneumenic world, because there's nothing in the world that ought to be. The only thing where that categorical imperative exists is the moral law. The ought to be is something peculiar for the human mind. It's not there in animals, it's nowhere else. Only the human mind has inside that what ought to be. And Kant says that there are two things that always marvel us, which is the sky full of stars over our head and the moral law inside our heads. And then I thought, well, why is this impact of George books? And I said to myself, because George books shows the moral law. The books of George get into the moral law. And then some people realizes that what George is saying is the truth, is the moral law, and then the impact is incredible. And there was one Spanish writer, Palazuelo Borrell, that said that the words of George has the shining of truth. They shine with truth. And that is because he appeals to the moral law, and he reaches the moral law of people. It changed my life, as I think it changed the life of many of those that are here now. But, well, I don't want to talk. I want to just comment this experience. I'm going to talk afterwards to you about the Spanish situation, but I want to call now Dave Wetzel, that will explain a bit what we have done in the executive committee during all these years. Dave.
Well, I'm sorry about this. I was preparing something for the business meeting tonight, and I wasn't expecting to. I'll do it off the cuff because.
Yes, only brief words to explain what we have done, because as you are younger than me, you have your mind.
So let's see your marbles then.
If you're really interested to know what we've done in the last 3 years since the 2010 conference in this beautiful building, then I suggest you come to our meeting tonight. Anybody who wants to join the IU can do so. If you're on the internet, you can join and we communicate with you by email. You can be a non-voting member and partake in our activities but not able to actually vote at meetings. If you want to be a voting member, the membership fee is only £30, £60 for organisations and £10 for people who are low income. And then you vote and can participate fully. We've had, it's been mentioned, some difficulties, great difficulties over the last 3 years, but we've come out of that now. We have a wonderful General Secretary who's going to be called Executive Director or some other title, and that will get discussed tonight. We're thinking of slightly changing our name. It's rather a long name, isn't it? Even our bank can't cope with it. So we're thinking of maybe reducing the name to the International Union for Land Value Taxation, or indeed just the International Union for Land Value Tax. We've been using now the IU, and I love it when I go abroad and speak on behalf of the organisation, and I'm described as speaking for the International Union. And some of the conferences I go to are labour movement conferences, and they think I'm speaking on behalf of some international trade union. But I love the title, the International Union. I think I can only endorse what Fernando has said, that the International Union is here to encompass everybody in a friendly, thoughtful, but most importantly, in an active way. We've been making films. We have 3 new films on our website, part of Fred Harrison's Trees and Trilogy, and I urge you to look at those films. And we've been contributing towards other films with other parts of the movement, of the land value tax movement. And I really feel that the internet, YouTube, short 3-5-minute films, and these sort of 20-minute, 30-minute films are a great way to attract younger people to our organisations. I, as you probably know, am active and was a founder member of the Labour Land campaign. And we've been lucky in the last couple of years to have recruited some young people. I know young people is nothing new to the School of Economic Science, but in the labour movement, I often sit at meetings. I'm 70 years old and I'm the youngest one in the room. So to have young people like Yoni Smith, if you look behind you, you see a good-looking man with a dark beard and a yellow shirt. He's doing our filming here today, as indeed is I was going to say another comrade, another friend, and we are lucky that young people are coming into the movement, not because they've read Henry George to begin with, but because they've seen something perhaps about the environment that has mentioned land. Maybe they've seen one of Fred Harrison's YouTube clips, or they've read something on the internet. And then what surprises me is how these younger people actually do then pick up Progress and Poverty and read the book cover to cover, and that absolutely amazes me. But I think it's important that we as a movement should continue into the future The school does a wonderful job educating people. The Coalition for Economic Justice is a lovely way of bringing together academics, people who are thinking a lot, together with activists, people that are perhaps trying to do too much. But so the two arms of the movement, the thought behind our beliefs and the activity to get them across, are brought together. And I see great hope for the International Union, I see great hope for the Georgist movement, and I see great hope for the introduction of an economy worldwide where economic rent is collected for the common good. But do come tonight to our meeting. We need a quorum, so if you're a member, make sure you do come. It's a 3-line whip. In fact, it's a 4-line whip. You've got no choice. You have to come if you're a member. If you're not a member, please come and participate. You can listen to the debates, but not vote. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
As of